You are now listening to The Mayor's Office, where your hosts Adriel and the Mayor talk about sports, music, life, and everything in between. Let's get started.
Yes.
Oh, that's my line.
Copyright? You don't have copyright on that.
I do not own the copyright to yes.
I'm sure Michael Jackson owns the rights to yes. Just because he owns the rights to everything.
Man, he's still beefing with Billie Jean, yo. Yes. You already know what it is. You are tuned in, listening to, watching the Mayor's Office podcast. I'm your host, Ralph, a.k.a. the Mayor, a.k.a. the Last Airbender.
I thought you had one more AKA in there. Am I forgetting that?
No, I'm not big on the AKAs, but you are.
No, 100%. Always trying to hide who I am. It's Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. The Godfather, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com. 2. a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official.
3.
We're going to leave it at that for now. But this is episode 9?
Episode 9. We're almost in the double digits.
That's big time, fam. That's
almost in the double digits. I never could have dreamed this.
No, you could. You could and you did.
But yeah, I envision like episode 900. So episode 9 is just a drop in the bucket. You feel me?
You know, I had this saying I used to say when I started my radio show.
What's that?
We're on our way to episode 1000. And technically we're on our way there logistically. Yeah. But thinking about how much episodes that is, how long that takes, it's like, do I really want to get to episode 1000? So 900 is a lot.
You know what we should have did? We should have counted down from 900, just in case somebody wants to sign us or something may happen. Cross our fingers.
But it said countdown.
They could look at our list and be like, "Oh shit, they're on episode 894." You know what I mean?
They would also think, "Why these niggas counting the wrong way?"
But yeah, man. Episode 9. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be podding with you. You know, one thing I do like about our relationship. We're cool, you know. We've known each other for years, but we're not like too buddy. We're not Bati and Bench. Like we text each other here and there, but we let time breathe a little bit so we have shit to talk about. You know what I mean? I have friends that I'm really close with that I see every day, and sometimes we just sit there when we do link up, and it's like we have nothing to really talk about. You know what I mean? But you, I feel like when we're texting and whatever, it's so gapped out and spaced that I feel like we have healthier conversations because of it.
And we got to save it for the pod, because I feel like
true.
We've definitely had moments where like we'll bring up a topic we know is on the pod, and we know we're trying to save it for the pod, but we're just excited to talk about it, that we just get into the nitty gritty
exactly
while we're setting up or whatever, and then we got to repeat for the pod. So it's like definitely got to save it for the pod so that the pod can get, you know, the authenticity.
No, I agree with that, because even last episode I was telling the listeners our logistics and getting to the pod. I was saying that you usually like link up and then we drive to the studio.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people are giving us good feedback from the last episode, and I think that attributes to me taking the bus.
Wow.
So we never had that time for us to one-on-one talk about whatever we're talking about. But I want the listeners to know, I need them to understand this. I had a much better time getting to the studio this episode as opposed to last episode. Last episode I was an hour late. This episode I was actually an hour early, and I left at the same time. So shout outs to Toronto.
Yo, yeah, anyone listening to this outside of Toronto, you just described the TTC perfectly.
Yep.
Like, you could leave at the same time and get somewhere hours apart. That's just literally how it works.
Crazy.
I remember when I was younger, I would try and like tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, like, you're blaming me for being tardy. Like, it's not really one of those, like, it's a TTC issue, you know?
Yeah.
And if for anyone who works a 9 to 5 and takes a TTC to that 9 to 5, like, you got to be diligent. There's other than that, you're just tardy basically 3 times a week.
That's just the way it is sometimes. That's why I appreciate some things out of COVID. You know what I mean? Like working from home and shit like that. It kind of alleviates that pressure. You feel me? But speaking of alleviating pressure, before we started recording, you gave me some big news, and I asked you prior if it was okay to talk about it on the pod.
You did.
Do you want to tell the people your big news?
I'm off the market. We're just gonna say it like that.
Jeez.
You know, leaving the streets alone.
I feel that.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually be. You know what I'm saying? Use this analogy. If the streets are walking, I'm getting in the limousine. Okay, so
that's that though. But the limousine is so fancy, it's so properly maintained. You know what I mean? As opposed to the streets, which could be very dirty. very unpredictable. So I'm happy for you in your newfound situation.
Yes.
And I'm praying for the best, and I'm pretty sure the listeners are too.
No, 100%. I would say the day that I made it official, Shorty cooked me a meal and attempted dessert as well.
Attempted dessert.
Yeah.
I know what that means.
Attempted dessert as well. And the food looked so good that I was like, I could live like this. There you go. The food so good, I'm like, I could live like this. Like, I'm not gonna starve.
Yeah.
And that's like, something you don't really get on the streets. Like, on the streets, you gonna starve. Like, you got to choose one. Either get fed or get the box. Like, it's not like both most of the time.
Good food or good box.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's get fed, it's usually you got to feed yourself. Like, you're the one paying.
Yeah. For real.
To have the option that I can now have both, you know what I'm saying, and peace of mind to go with it.
Yeah. I fuck with that.
Can't complain.
The next question that I had in my mind was, how did you drop that question? How did you say, like, hey, I want you to be my girl? Because I did it like in a very, very Toronto man way. I pretty much just said, hey, yo, you're not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. We might as well talk to each other, type of thing. So, and it worked. It worked. So I want to know what your method was.
I like that you were able to ask your girlfriend to be your girlfriend without using the phrase girlfriend. I think there's nothing more Toronto than getting that off.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same vein. Like, I in the past, I've dated a couple girls who were my best friends before, and so I didn't really have the talk. I was like, you know what it is. Like, we're here. And if I didn't have good friends around me to let me know to ask this question, I probably would still be here, like, being like, yeah, you rock with me, right? I rock with you.
Yeah.
So I asked her, I was like, I want you to be my girlfriend. But she felt like it was prompted, like she had to remind me, and she didn't.
She gave you like the little subtle reminder.
And she's like, "Why did I have to remind?" And I said, "You're gonna have to remind me again. Like, like, this is who I am. Like,
yeah.
I thought about it yesterday. Enjoyed spending time with you and forgot. Same thing. Enjoyed spending time with you and forgot. So it's like that's not the top of my mind to ask that question. So I understand where you're coming from in a sense, because it's like, I'm not a fan of asking it, but as I've grown older, there's some things that is not for you in the relationship.
Yeah, I feel like the more you mature, you tend to not want to do like the things that you saw when you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like, you watch those TV shows where, like, Degrassi or whatever the hell, and like somebody asks like formally, like, "Oh, do you want to go to prom with me? Do you want to do that?" You realize the real world is not really like that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do all of that, right? Like, you kind of. It's an unspoken thing at this point, at least in the black community that I've seen. It's an unspoken thing.
Extremely unspoken.
Yeah, where it's just like, you kind of know when you're at that point with that person, you know what I'm saying? Without being all like lovey-dovey about it and stuff like that. So I definitely feel you.
Yeah, so I really just got into my bag to kind of let her know what's up. But what I'm learning is that there are certain things that you don't do for you do for them. And like, I'm gonna give full disclosure because I may mention my relationship another time on this pod or something like that. I'm a simp for this girl. Been a simp for this girl. That's just the truth. You know what I'm saying?
You're claiming your simpness.
I'm letting everyone know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I might not be a simp most of the time.
I hear that.
But in this case, I have a serious case of the simps.
I'm okay with that. You admitting it, because a lot of dudes are simps or considered to be simps, and they don't want to fully embrace it and accept who they are. So I appreciate you coming on and saying what you just said.
We gotta make simping like normal. You know what I'm saying? If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not.
There's nothing wrong if you do it. I'm not that guy, but like, I'm not gonna clown a man that's doing that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I wanted to get real serious with you for a second. I wanted to just take like a moment to bring up all the things that have been happening in Europe right now, especially with this whole Ukraine situation and Russia. And I just wanted to take a moment to like kind of pray for those people that are being affected negatively because of this, which is just ridiculous in itself that we've gotten to this point where it's potentially could be a level of war and how we are in the West. Social media is making us not feel like this is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas are on the brink of world war potentially, right? But we're laughing and joking about it, and there's memes and shit. So I don't know. We have to do better in terms of like somebody dealing with something negatively. Like we were too quick to go on TikTok now. Like this generation going on TikTok, social media, like Instagram and shit, just posting about like fucking jokes and shit. Like people are actually dying, losing limbs, losing their minds, you know what I mean?
And I say it's crazy because I'm a big history person, and most of the time when something on the internet is happening and people are talking crazy, whether it's about feminism, war, whatever it is, usually there's a lack of historical knowledge there, and I feel like this is like falling in that
100%
in that group for sure.
History is always bound to repeat itself, and we don't take these things seriously. We take it for granted. Like we saw the whole playbook. You know what I mean? We see the whole playbook in the past, and we have to rectify the situation now. Just thinking that like, yo, we're gonna brush this off and say pray for Ukraine or whatever, and not put anything to action, that might put us in a bad position later on. Because when Hitler invaded fucking Poland, everybody just said, yo, we'll brush this shit off, and then look what happened there. So
I know I see the same thing, and especially because everyone's kind of hiding behind NATO in terms of not doing anything. And I was laughing at all those sanctions that were going on. I'm like, yeah, you think Russia cares about those sanctions?
Yeah.
And then you know, the main thing to me, I feel like, is like the history of the Ukraine and how they're being treated right now. Like, I don't know if anyone saw it, they got their airport blown up.
I seen that.
And it's like, think about if Pearson got blown up. Like, I'm sure everyone
would be a global issue for sure.
And everyone probably would be focused on their trip that they're going to go on that maybe might be canceled.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than that, blowing up someone's airport. So you have to put that in perspective. And then the history of the country of Ukraine in terms of being part of, you know, the former Yugoslavia, being separated, what this means to the future of Ukraine. Because this happened, I think, 23 years ago with Kosovo. And that's like a very little known country. But I had the pleasure, let me not say the pleasure, I had the circumstance of spending time with some Albanians. Right. So I know about Albania, Kosovo a little bit. And it's like, people who are from Kosovo are still like, they still deal with that. It's still a part of them. There's still like a Kosovo-Albanian little beef there. So it's like, we're black. That got nothing to do with us. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking of it so differently, but you know, there's a version of this for basically every country we come from, whether it's Sri Lanka, Guyana, Jamaica. We all have our own version of this. So it's like we got to have a little more empathy for what they're going through.
Yeah, definitely. Like, one thing that I really took into account was the divisional interests of the media in terms of like how they speak about these things. And I don't want to get super political on the podcast or anything like that. We're going to move on from this topic. But since 2016, there's been bombings in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, multiple other countries. But as soon as this shit hits Europe, it's like, oh, shit hits the fan. You know what I'm saying? We have to condemn war everywhere. At the end of the day, right? Yep. So that was my last point on all of that.
And then again, please say your prayers for Ukraine. Whoever you pray to, listen, whoever you pray to,
yeah.
Please say your prayers for Ukraine. We have some stuff going on here that's tough for us as living every day.
Yeah.
And you know, it's more than first world problems. It's like a whole different version of first world problems. Definitely. But you had something that you wanted to talk about in terms of like being a minority in a condo.
Yeah. So for my close friends that know me, I live in a condo currently. About a year now. With my other person and my dog, and I live in a predominantly, we'll say, non-urban area. And non-urban. I don't carry myself or like, my speech is one thing, but I don't carry myself like how they would want me to be carried. Like, I wear tracksuits. I'm trying to sound real political as I speak here, but I wear tracksuits, I wear shorts. I don't really like, my appearance isn't like grungy or anything like that, but it's not like I'm not walking around in suits and everything like that. So I always get looks. Me and my other person, we always get like looks in the elevator and stuff like that, like we don't belong in the building. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking it too deep, but I'm always getting like stares at and stuff like that. So one thing that happened to me is so funny because I saw a TikTok like this similar, and it actually happened to me in real life. But I was getting in, I was planning to get in the elevator door open, and there was a couple in there. I'm not gonna tell anybody like the demographic of the couple. And I walked in, I tapped my fob and whatever, I pressed my floor button, and they came out of the elevator.
No.
Mind you, their floor button was already pressed. So like shit like that, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
That's wild. I just feel like the rules are just changed. Like no, the rules are not across the board, because if it was the other way around and you did the same thing where you and your person to someone coming in, it looks nuts when they do it to you, but it would be a huge deal the other way. And it's like you're keeping your cool in terms of like, not making it a big scene, or when I catch you next time, you're not getting that way with it. But I feel like that I understand that has to make you feel uncomfortable. And it's like, this is the thing I get, because I've noticed this a lot back when I was in the streets. Sometimes
those dirty streets,
the dirty streets. That's when you go to someone's apartment and you see the demographic of the building, and you're like, you're actually different from everyone else in this building.
Yes.
And then you're like, you probably look extra crazy bringing me as well on top of you, on top of what you got going on. And it's like, I in my head, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they're thinking, how can they afford this? That's what I think they're always thinking.
Yeah, and I got really lucky getting a spot that I wanted. I got the exact area that I wanted to. I got the exact type of spot that me and my other person like wanted in terms of space and everything like that. But yeah, I always get that feeling like they're wondering how I got there. You know what I'm saying? So it's very uncomfortable sometimes being like a black professional in any case. Like I work a corporate job, like I'm doing my thing, like of course I take I'm a little niggerish, you know what I mean? But like I'm nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? I'm not smoking weed in the elevator and shit, like stupid shit like that. So I find it weird. I also wanted to talk about the rental market right now, like being a black person. Like I know I know currently you're at home, but you used to rent. So I always found trouble, like especially when I was finding this place. I got super lucky with my landlord, but I was running into rejection after rejection after rejection. And it wasn't even a financial thing. It was like high energy on the phone, come see the place. But once I got there and they saw me, they were like, I don't know, and the energy dropped. So I don't know if you experienced that too.
I actually experienced some of that as well. And I it's funny because I used to kind of have an out, because I was in school and be like, oh, I'm a student. It's like, okay, you look like you sell drugs, but you a student, so maybe you don't. You know? So I had that out, but I definitely caught a bit of that as well. And I would say that I got lucky with my place, because the place that I ended up renting when I did live downtown, I was the first person to look at it. I replied to the ad at 3 a.m, and the ad went up at midnight. And he still almost didn't want to give it to me. It was like I still had to like fight with whoever, and like it was a whole ordeal. It is a big thing. I feel like sometimes I do feel like we're moving forward in terms of understanding that everyone can dress different and be who they are. Like my job now, my boss has purple hair. I'm saying she works with her husband who has 3 earrings. So I'm like, everyone's doing their own thing. As the
generations go by, I feel like they're more accepting of like urban communities and like understanding like different cultures and shit like that, as opposed to the past, like the early 2000s. Probably you weren't getting that same level of understanding.
But when it comes to rent,
what I usually find is the first generation immigrants that are renting off these places that have like a deepened rooted perception of like a black male trying to rent, right? So I usually find that because maybe they're carrying over whatever thoughts and beliefs they had back home, but then the hypocrisy comes in because you come to the most multicultural city arguably in North America. So at some point you have to accept like a black person and their culture, you know what I mean? Your kids are going to end up going to school with other black kids, you know what I mean? And with other kids of different races and stuff like that. So eventually you're going to have to be more accepting. If your child comes home with a black boyfriend or a black girlfriend, like you have to get with the times, you know what I'm saying? That shit's archaic to me.
It is, and I feel like I just feel like people are putting like different boundaries on it. Like it's like, oh, I'm understanding, but not all the way. Like this girl who I dated who was Albanian, her mom knew about me, but her mom was like, Adriel's great, but don't date him. And she's kind of like, she's like, y'all could be best friends.
Old mindset that these guys have, man, is fucked up.
And they they keep moving the goalposts because I think about even the jobs that me and you have, and I'm like, when you rent and you're buying and they ask you like your employment history, or some past checks, and it's like they're almost always surprised no matter what your job is. And it's like, what job do you think, like, what would be a job that wouldn't surprise you? What job could I have where you could be like, oh, that makes sense?
It's crazy, bro. I remember I went to the bank to open up a new account, a new credit card account. And then they asked me like, hey, what's your job? And I said, oh, XYZ, whatever my job is, right? They're like, okay, how much you make? I said, how much I make? And they're like, okay. Like, they looked at me funny. You know
like something didn't add up.
Yeah. But once again, I walked in a tracksuit and some fucking Jordans and shit, or runners. And then fucking, they just assumed that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm working at Foot Locker or some bullshit like that. So I need to get away from that. Also, I am getting older and I am maturing. I do need to like change how I dress as well. But it is me.
No, I'm gonna stop you there. I don't think you need to. I think it's like it's a version of brainwashing. I have friends who work in corporate in terms of like front facing every day, having to put on a work voice, a work face, and like even them in how they move outside of work, their mind is gonna change a little bit to be like, oh, I wonder what that person does, just because they're, you know, in that environment.
You're right there. It is a form of brainwashing. I was more so speaking on, I'm not changing for anybody. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me at the end of the day, because I'm secure in my financial income. I'm secure with my situation at home. I'm secure with my friends like you. The thing that I would just want to change up is I got my recent job. I got that during COVID. So I do want to upgrade like certain fits and stuff like that for when I do go to work. I can't come to work in a tracksuit. You know what I'm saying? But my previous job, I was able to do that. So that was my point. I'm not Uncle Tom ass nigga, yo.
I couldn't let you. I said no.
Oh man. All right.
Oh, that was a good one. Okay. This next one I was probably my favorite thing that you wrote on this page. And it leads right into the music room, which is probably my favorite segment of this podcast. But you asked if I was trolling by telling you about Joe Budden last pod.
No, so what happened was I said a little bit earlier in the pod that we're getting a lot of good feedback from episode 8. One thing was like, one of my niggas hit me up and he said, yo, Ralph, like, Adriel is trolling you. Joe Budden's not bisexual. He was just fucking with you. And you went with it. So in my head, I'm like, yo, this guy Adriel,
he got me
on the podcast. And yo, sometimes I'm wrong on the podcast, and it brings me to my other point. We'll get back to what we're gonna talk about. But like, I edit this podcast heavily. Like, I listened over to the podcast like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Right? When I'm wrong, I just leave it in there, bro. I have to be humble, yo. You know what I mean? But I want to see if you were trolling me.
Nah. Well, I don't listen to Joe no more. So let me be clear that like, I don't listen to Joe no more. I just saw this specific clip go around. Okay. And it was him basically saying emphatically like, I go both ways, whatever.
I have to splice this into the pod.
Don't splice me saying that before you get me get the wrong impression. But I saw the clip of him saying that. And he decided like, Ish and Ice didn't kind of stop him or laugh. It was kind of like, this is like the breaking news.
That's crazy because they've known that dude for years.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm assuming they all knew whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the only reason that clip, I guess, came to my attention because there was another clip talking about R. Kelly. And
these are some crazy clips you're watching, brother.
Yo. And Joe was trying to say that R. Kelly's loving it in jail.
Okay.
Because he's like, yeah, R. Kelly's probably bi. And I'm like, okay, so they're trusting his opinion on that because they must know something about him that like, if Joe says he's bi, then Joe would know, you know, that type of thing. So I was like, okay, if he's just saying that and they're rolling with it, you know, because if one of us said that, like, we might agree with it, but we know we're just talking, you know. It's not going to be like Ralph would know, you know.
True.
You know. So off of that, I'm like, he must have been telling the truth, or must have been, you know, what it was. So I'm happy that I got to tell you on the pod, so we got that real reaction.
Bro, I'm glad that you explained everything. I'm gonna watch the clip because since my friend told me that you were trolling me, I built up a little bit of resentment. I started changing the way I texted you. You know, you can you know when you start typing and there's the first word's always capitalized.
Yeah.
I went back and I lowercased it. Adriel would be like, yo, are we recording at 2? I'd say, yeah. And then change it to, yeah.
No, I got let guys know.
I appreciate that.
No, honestly, for sure. Because if I was trolling you, that would be like a reason for you to have a little spice. So I totally feel that.
Okay.
I didn't actually I'm actually out the loop. I gotta be real. Like, I don't listen to rap as much in my free time other than the gym. So my algorithm is probably not even feeding me that as much. So I'm not on the rap part of the internet as much anymore. I don't listen to rap as much except for in the gym. And apparently Vince Staples said that Snoop is arguably the best rapper alive.
Vince Staples had an interview recently. I think it was post Super Bowl. It was definitely post Super Bowl. And he said that, Snoop is arguably the best rapper alive. I don't agree with best. I feel like Snoop he needs his flowers, but Snoop is the biggest rapper alive. I think he's the most popular rapper to ever walk this earth, in my personal opinion.
The most famous, for sure.
Yeah, Snoop is... I think he can go to almost any country in the world that has like access to the internet and television and can be recognized. I don't think Drake is at that point yet. I don't think Jay-Z is even at that point. I think Snoop Dogg can be like, I think he is the most globally known rapper.
Yeah, I would agree with that part. I think that best rapper alive is going a little too far, especially because Jay-Z is alive and well and walking on this earth and hired Snoop Dogg. But I think he's trying to give Snoop his flowers, and I think that is fair because
which I'm cool with.
Because like I think Snoop has one of the greatest debut albums of all time. So when we're talking about flowers, if we're talking about music, some of the best singles of all time, like worldwide singles, like Drop It Like It's Hot, you could play that in Istanbul, it can go crazy.
And the longevity of Snoop, it has to be recognized as well.
Young, Wild and Free is only a few years ago, that's another one. So I say musically he has some, credit in there, but if we're talking musically, his only case he might have as the best is maybe the best debut album of all time. Yeah. I'm interested to hear other people have, let us know in the comments, of course, what other albums would be in that category. But I think best debut album of all time is probably the one best that he could actually win.
For sure. And honestly, we only have a finite amount of studio time.
Yeah.
So, those old head conversations. Who's the best rapper? Who's the best NBA player? Who's this? Who's the greatest of all time? We don't have time for that shit on the Mayor's Office podcast. No. But what I can say is we do agree Snoop is, one, deserving of his flowers, and two, arguably the biggest rapper to ever grace planet Earth.
100%. I'm telling you right now, man, I just feel like such an old person with the things that I miss online. I feel like I see a 1-2 meme and I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Little do I know there's like 18 Twitter threads with full information.
Yeah.
This was another one of those. The Tory and Meg thing came up again.
Yes.
I've been like super not into this thing as much as other people because, and I'll tell you why, because I never spoke about this in the pod yet. One, why is Tory Lanez the man that we're latching our like defense to? There's way more stand-up citizens who we should be defending tooth and nail than Tory Lanez.
Yeah. And nothing against Tory Lanez.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's not Nipsey Hussle or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, our defense of Tory Lanez is a little too strong.
Yeah.
And then two, I'm like, none of us were there. So it's like all of us.
There's only 4 people in that car.
So everyone playing the internet lawyer, the internet doctor. It's like, I don't see this much vigor in your own case, in your own life, when, so-and-so does something to so-and-so.
Yep.
So it's like, it's pretty odd to me. And then what I think is the last thing that's interesting is that at the end of the day, a woman was shot. A black woman was shot. Whoever did it, that's for the court to decide. But I'm like, it's funny that that's not like the main issue here. And I don't rock with Meg like that, so maybe it's a Meg thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, if Mary J. Blige was shot in a car...
Monet? Shit.
Aunt Monet, how dare you? If Aunt Monet was shot in a car, regardless of the context, we would all be like, how dare this travesty happen?
Yeah.
So maybe Meg shaking her ass for all those months has us maybe less sensitive to what she's going through or whatever it is.
Yeah, her turnaround period after getting shot was pretty fast for sure.
So I just feel like it's... I don't know. Maybe I'm out the loop, but I just can't understand why everyone is so interested in this. Please enlighten me.
This case has been super dragged out. There's been gaps of like, we'll have a month straight of like Tory talking about it, Meg talking about it, so the social media hype is there, and then it'll be quiet for a bit, and then something new comes up or whatever. So pretty much recently, there's been like a debacle. They had the case got recently moved back, but
to April.
There was a whole like DNA issue or whatever with the gun residue, and if Tory actually like had the gun in hand. But here's my thing with this. I'm kind of over it. I just want to get down to whatever happened. I feel like Tory is super confident for somebody that potentially shot a woman. So I kind of don't know where to go on each side. And there's two things. If Tory did shoot her, Tory needs to be condemned, knocked down, and honestly removed from any form of like promotions from any label, right? And from any distribution as well, like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Now,
if not,
here's the other thing that not a lot of people aren't talking about. If he didn't shoot her, we have to condemn Meg too. And I want to see the same energy.
It's not gonna happen.
But I'm saying for the right of the people, the right thing to do. I want, if Meg, I don't know, I wasn't there, I don't care this much about this thing, but if Meg lied about the whole Tory Lanez thing, about Tory shooting her and whatever, we have to condemn her too. We have to hold her accountable.
No, we have to hold her accountable. And I think it's interesting in this sense that the logistics of like what happened and didn't happen, I've never seen the logistics been so like, you know, so minute, everyone going to every little piece of what happened. Like, think about the big, you know, cases of our past. Even when 50 got shot, it wasn't no like, well, actually,
it wasn't on this level.
No, but it wasn't. Well, actually, one bullet. There was none of that. It was like he got shot. He, you know, find the guy, don't find him, whatever.
Yeah.
This whole minutia of this is like really weird to me. And then, listen, on top of everything else, I'm like, no offense to Tory and Meg, but I feel like both of their musics are inconsequential. This is not Lauryn Hill and Nas. You know what I'm saying? This is not like, if you took Meg's music out of my life and Tory's music out of my life.
Your life. There's a generational gap. Like, I respect Meg as an artist. I listen to Tory here and there, but we're two dudes that are gonna be 30 soon. You know what I mean? We can't look at it like a 21-year-old girl.
We have to objectively, man. Like no offense to Meg, but it's like, is her music really consequential to the state of music? Like, you gotta we gotta be honest here.
True.
You know, like for sure she's popping. Which means that her music matters in that sense.
Right.
But it's like, is she saying things or doing things sonically that it's like, you know, music can't last without it?
You can say that for a lot of artists, because like the game is, in general, the hip hop game and the R&B game is super oversaturated.
But that's what I'm saying. Why are we hitching? We can't be hitching our defense to these, like, you know what I'm saying? If it was like an Ab-Soul, you know, and Ab-Soul's in a situation, let's defend the life out of Ab-Soul. You know what I'm saying? We need to hear what you got to say. we don't need to hear what Tory got to say that.
Yeah, maybe someone bigger than Ab-Soul, but I understand what you're saying. Someone that's more engraved in like the overall history of music. But that shouldn't really take away from the fact that there's a case going on. But we got to figure out, you know, what really happened.
For sure. And this actually links to our next topic and our next person. I just ask for all the internet detectives, internet lawyers, internet doctors, think about who you're defending. That's all I want to say. If this was Nipsey Hussle in this case, you would see me and my Twitter fingers bumping. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that.
So think about that. And this, like, I did not even know this happened, man. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, man, like, I know I just turned this age that will not be named, but I'm feeling super out of the loop with this one because I'm probably more a fan of this artist that we're going to talk about next currently than any other artist we mentioned before. That's my boy Kodak Black.
Yeah.
He had a baby shower in February after having one in January.
Yeah, so he had a baby shower January, and then he just had a baby shower with another woman. Obviously another woman. In February.
Not obviously.
I mean, yo. Anyway. I wanted to bring up something to you. I wanted to bring up a issue that I see in Hollywood, the issue I see with rich urban folk. It's what a check baby is.
What is a check baby? Explain that.
So we've seen this story multiple times. Athlete, rapper, somebody gets big within that spectrum, makes millions of dollars, and all of a sudden a baby pops up.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not holding these men like not accountable for their actions. Right. They're choosing to do what they're doing, but I feel like there's a subculture of females that want to breed with these people, not out of love. There's no baby that's coming out of this out of love. The baby's coming out of finances and money, and that security, that parental security that they'll receive from the court, the financial security, that they'll receive from the court is more beneficial than finding someone that they actually care about and reproducing with them. So that's what a check baby is to me. The gold digging mentality to try to date a rapper or date an athlete, have a child, and then secure the bag in terms of child support.
See, my brain is a little wide, a little different, so I'm focused on something completely different than what you just said. And I feel like, and this is probably just me,
yeah,
but I always think about how does a woman convince a rapper that she don't know to have sex with her unprotected?
I think it's a American thing, and we're not the sex podcast. Like, we're not gonna get into no details or nothing, but I think it's just, I feel like American athletes and a lot of American rappers, they're not as educated in like sex education and understanding that, and it's like these guys don't believe.
They just live that life of going around.
Yeah, they just live that life of just getting in there.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Lack
because
of protection, brother.
I feel like I would need like a 3-page essay and 3 reasons why for me to even think about going raw. But it seems like that's not the problem for a man like Kodak Black. I feel like it's here's the thing. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I feel like it's taking advantage. You got to hold rappers accountable, but I feel it's taking advantage. But I also think that there's a part to it when you get a certain amount of money that's like, I can just afford this. Like,
yeah, for sure. There's that too. There's that too.
And I think like kids fit into that like mold, like, because you got to look at it this way. For someone who's like middle class or, you know, even in poverty, like, you know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, everyone's having 8, 9 kids. That's just the norm. Yeah. Things have changed now. You probably can't afford to have 2, 3 kids if you're living middle class or in poverty. You know,
people find a way, brother.
They might find a way, but I'm talking about one income, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Middle class with 2 middle class incomes, maybe you could have 3, 4 kids. One income, 2 kids, and you're in a tough spot, you know? Yeah. So it's like, if this woman is going to become a single parent and has the backing of, you know, Kodak Black, she can now afford how many more kids, and same on Kodak's side, he can now afford how many more kids, because I think that's a part of the equation that we're forgetting, is that most people at least maybe decide how much kids they're gonna have based on financial things. If money wasn't an option, would a lot of people be having more kids? Because that's kind of what I'm seeing here.
That's fair too. I guess my point was more so on the mentality to have a child not out of any form of like care, you know what I mean? Not out of, you know, and you don't have to be in love with somebody to have a child with somebody, you know what I'm saying? But at least there was some form of like, okay, we're dating a bit, or something like that. I'm throwing
shorties a bone, man. That shit is nasty. What, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the man literally just had a youth in January, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know, like, no type of nothing, like,
or baby shower.
Yeah, like, he has a line on his new album where he says, I don't even remember conceiving you. Talking about one of his kids, he's like, I don't even remember having sex with your mom to conceive you.
Yeah. And I'm not just talking about Kodak. Like, there's a full culture of this, of like predatory behavior.
Nick Cannon, Future.
Yeah. And it's like, yo, I need the child support, and this is the reason why I'm breeding with you. At the same time, as I said earlier, these dudes got to be held accountable. But like, look at the PJ Washington situation with Brittany Renner. Like, we all know.
Yeah.
That's on him as well, right?
Yeah.
You knew who you chose. You knew who you chose to lay with. But at the same time, yo, you should have like the wherewithal to have people in your corner that can say, yo, I don't know about this. You know what I mean? But teach his own, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess it's hard to tell the difference, because I feel like, for sure, maybe like, we don't know behind the scenes. Maybe these girls are like giving off, you know, more to make it seem like it's more deeper. Yeah. Obviously it's not, but you know, maybe it doesn't seem as if.
That's true.
It's not, because I feel like, you know, like, this can happen at any level. You know, you get into someone quick, y'all connect. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a little vibe.
Yeah. You know, it can happen. Definitely.
You think, okay, I rock with you. Like, we're good. You know. And so it's like, in that sense, you know, maybe it feels different to some of these rappers, but no, you're right. It's nasty all the way through and through.
Through and through.
No, absolutely all the way nasty. We talked about this maybe episode 3 or 4, like it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
But Kanye and Donda, we got the Donda 2 show. I didn't end up actually watching the show. And I didn't buy the stem player either. What are you on that? 0 for 2?
Yeah, 0 for 2. Like, I listened to like some fucking broken leaks on SoundCloud, but I didn't watch the show. I heard Jack Harlow had like a crazy performance.
Yeah.
One of his verses. So I'm looking forward to hearing that, but I'm looking forward to hearing that when it comes out on torrents, bro. I'm not buying the stem player.
That's what I want to talk about, because the day the album came out, I obviously did not buy the stem player. Like, is anyone old enough who listens to this pod remembers when it was your phone and your iPod? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Two separate
and now we made it into one. I'm not going back to that time. We're not going to carry the stem player and the iPhone. Yeah. And I went online checking for leaks, because I said the internet is a crazy place. You know,
leaks will come.
I was on Reddit. I went to some other places. Didn't see no leaks. This is probably the slowest the internet has been in terms of leaks. How is Kanye doing this? Because Kanye has never had this.
He's worth a billy, man. He's worth a billy.
Kanye's never had things locked down this much, though, ever.
That's true.
Ever. So how is he pulling this off?
Because the sound bites that I was listening to were like somebody at the fucking concert recording it on their phone or some bullshit like that. So I don't know, man. I'm not getting the stem player. Like, I respect the idea. You know, the man is making bank off of it. I'm not copping it, though. It's an extra $2 out of my pocket. Very unnecessary at the moment. Just to listen to Donda, I'm good.
What would it take for you to get the stem player? Because there is the idea that
a sponsorship.
Kanye, cut the check. There's the idea that he's going to keep doing that his whole career going forward, that Donda 3 will be on a stem player, and if he drops another single like he did with the game, that'll be on a stem player too. Like, how much music would he have to put on there for you to be like, I'm going to get the stem player?
I don't know, man. It would have to be not just Kanye. Like, Kanye has arguably the greatest discography. It's up there.
Yeah,
it's
arguably.
Up there. You know what I mean? In terms of his music, especially the shit he's produced too, if you throw that in there. I would need more than that for me to spend $200 on the stem player. When I have Spotify subscriptions, Amazon Music, all types of shit, Apple. This
is the last question before we go to the next. And this is I thought of because the Rockefeller had their own version of stem player.
Yes.
About a decade and a half ago. And it was all Rockefeller artists, which I was Rockefeller out back in those days. So
something like that I fuck with.
So which label would you really be tapped into if a label said, this stem player is going to be all good music or all TDE? Like, who would it be that you would cop?
TDE for sure. TDE, just the two you named. TDE, good. Oh yeah, Dreamville as well.
Yeah.
TDE, good music. Dreamville. If Kanye is still a part of good music, then I'll throw. If Big Sean's old discography is in there too, Pusha T, then I'll do those 3.
Yeah, I would say good music, and I would say here's my cheap answer. I would go Rockefeller and just get the extended arms.
Oh, that's not allowed.
Get good music from Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Rihanna's in there as well.
Yeah.
Griselda.
You're the type of nigga to wish for more wishes, yo.
100%. 100%. So you're not getting the stem player is the gist.
Yeah, definitely not getting that.
Yeah. I've been behind, man. I've been watching a show that we're not going to talk about, but I have a segment on this show that we're gonna have next pod, Love Is Blind. That's been taking up my time.
Yeah, I've been watching that too, actually, surprisingly.
What we actually heard talk about is Genius. I didn't finish episode 2.
Okay.
But
Did you start episode 2?
Yeah, I got halfway. But you listen, you know I'm a Kanye fan, so I don't need to watch it to have this conversation. You know what I'm saying? What was your favorite clip to see? And you can talk about a clip that I haven't seen, of course, but a favorite clip to see of a song being made.
All Falls Down was dope. I liked when he had was it Scarface or Ghostface that was in the studio with him when he was showing him the recording
of All Falls Down. Ghostface.
It was Ghostface. Sorry. So I liked that aspect of it. I think it's dope that we get to see an artist that's at their absolute peak and what they did to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole documentary idea by his boy was fucking genius.
Yeah.
But I like the whole idea and the whole like planning behind it. Like nobody knew that this was being recorded behind the scenes. So for us to get all of this shit is a blessing, you know, just to kind of see him going like room to room in the Rockefeller office. You know what I'm saying? Like giving us that like inside feel is pretty dope. And seeing his mom, like he talks so much about his mom. I never really watched any clips of his mom. So seeing that and seeing how, you know, some moms like they're outside of the generation, so they don't really give a fuck about like media and shit like that. Like if I told my mom about this podcast, she probably would not care or understand it. But his mom was like reciting lyrics and shit like that. So she was so involved. So I understand like how deep his connection was with her. You know what I'm saying? Past like just like the motherly love. It was like she wanted him to grow as an artist too. You know what I'm saying? So that shit was dope to see.
That's one of the things like I really resonated with from the first one. I'm close to my mom's too, and like my mom's always been holding me down anything that I do. She's like, oh, you want to do this? All right, like let's see how you could do it. And his like there's a point in it when one of his OGs says that he heard about Kanye from his mom, and she was his teacher, and his mom said, yo, I bought my son some equipment. Like, and you got to think about like, especially growing up in like a Caribbean household, even some of these Christian households where like you can't be making beats in the house,
inner city,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like to see what he achieved, like I don't want to give all the credit to his mom because obviously he worked on his own, but his mom had a huge part in that, just giving him the confidence to be like, yo, this is what you want to do, like get good at it, I'll help you buy the equipment, you don't gotta hide this from me, like focus on this is what you want to do. Like it's the same thing with Big Sean's mom. Is a similar story, how his Big Sean's mom was like, yo, if you don't want to go to school, that's okay, like stay at home and work. So it's like there's all these stories of like no one believed in me at work, you know, we know those stories, but we gotta like, especially as we grow older and like become parents and that kind of thing, like have those stories of like, yo, someone believed in this person and that was a help, the push they needed. I had this talk at home about like, you know, you always have those future talks with your person or whatever, about how to like raise the kids and stuff like that. And I always was of the belief that I want like anything creative to flow. I want my kid not to feel like they're bogged down and they have to go to college, have to go to university. I will give them a few years to kind of figure themselves out, but then after that trial's up, you might have to get your ass back to school. But I will give you that freedom to kind of like figure things out, like get a part-time job or whatever, but you can focus a majority of your time to whatever your passion is, because I want to see that shit flourish. You think if LeBron didn't if LeBron's mom wasn't into basketball in any way, shape or form and said, nah, I want you to be a scientist, LeBron probably would have been a decent scientist, but we would not have LeBron fucking James at all. So
it's something to think about.
No, I think it's huge, like that push, because a lot of times, man, like it might not even work out. Like I think about Kevin Durant and his mom talking about going to every game, and it's like you see your son shoot 100 jumpers, he still might not make the league. There's no guarantee, but you know, you have to give him that avenue to at least give them the choice. And then I like this doc a lot because you see Kanye like fighting that producer tag. You know what I'm saying? He's coming out of that thing. Like we're old enough to remember, but like my little brother who's 17, like he only knows Kanye really as a rapper. He doesn't remember the producer days. Exactly. And even now we got so much producer rappers. He was fighting so hard to break through to get that, right? So and a lot of people were holding him down and just trying to say, nah, you're a producer. Like shut the fuck up, sit down. Look at Pharrell. Look what he's doing. Be that. And it's crazy because now we have some people that rap and produce, and it's funny because it's like we don't even like give those guys the quote unquote credit. I'm saying it's like J. Cole's a producer rapper, so is Tyler, Mac Miller was, and it's like we don't even like name them like that. We just think rapper. It's just a regular thing now. We just give them, you're a rapper. So it's cool to see how I love the evolution in music, man. Like what a DJ was, what a producer was, what a rapper was. Everything grows and elevates, and that's the beauty of this culture. So listen, it's apology time. All right, guys, the listeners, I've been doing a lot of slander. As a Will Smith podcast, I apologize. The slander has been disrespectful. I've been hating on Bel-Air before I even had a chance to watch it. I had a chance to watch it, the first 4 episodes, I think it was. It's not peak television,
but it's better than the average CW level show. I have to give it its respect. It's a very watchable show. The content's pretty good. The actors are really good, and the chemistry is pretty good on screen too. So where's my cameras here?
Yeah.
I apologize to anybody that felt a way about me hating on Bel-Air. Bel-Air's a good show.
As Ghost once said, a real man apologizes.
Big facts.
So I think this is it's a sad time. We got to wrap up.
Yeah, we have to cut the pod a little short for you guys, but we will be coming back for another episode and another episode and another episode. So don't worry about that. We got content for you guys. It's coming.
900 episodes on the way. We always end with our non-rap song. I had an interesting take for mine this week.
Yeah.
This song is probably the most streamed song any of us have named on this pod in this category.
Okay.
This is an older song.
I fuck with it.
Probably like 200 million on Spotify, like basically a classic. But just being from Scarborough, I had the inclination that a lot of people probably don't know this song.
Right.
It is from Aerosmith. Everyone knows who Aerosmith is.
yeah.
The song is called Crying. It came on in the gym the other day, and Crying.
Wow, we're doing a lot of crying from your selections.
Yeah, that's what I thought. When I typed it in, I like literally backspaced tears in the club to type in Crying. I said, all right, funny. No more crying in February. Yeah. But song's called Crying. I'm even though I know the song, I'm not sure if it's a love song or a breakup song. It's more like I used to love you, but now I'm not.
Re-listen to it.
But Crying, Aerosmith, absolute banger.
Okay, sounds good. I'm keeping it very, very recent as opposed to Adriel. I was listening to the song. It got me in my feelings, and I'm a man that doesn't really showcase too much feelings. And it's NWA by Lucky Day. I need you guys to go check that out. It's a really good, really chill R&B song. It gets you in your vibes, gets you in your feelings, and
Yeah, two different vibes from these songs. I think you got to probably listen to these songs separately.
yeah, definitely don't play them at the same time.
Yeah, one at a time for sure. But that's it for us. Please make sure you subscribe to us.
Yes, sir.
We got new content coming. If you want to make sure you get the content as soon as it drops, go ahead and subscribe. That's the Mayor's Office Podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, everything in the pods. Subscribe to us.
Facts. We're even on Google Podcasts now, SoundCloud. I'm trying to get this thing everywhere.
Okay.
Tell your mama to tell your cousin to tell your auntie. I got that from Chain 9. Go check that interview out too.
Jeez. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere else you can play podcasts.